It is recording right now, and all these recording, it will be uploaded into my YouTube channel when you will be able to view it and see it at any time. I will not delete it, and I will keep it until all the group pass the exam, inshallah. Okay? And again, if you have any question regarding the material, please don't hesitate to contact me at any time. Okay? Did I answer the question, Muhammad? Muhammad Sharif?
Yes. I'm not sure who asked the question, but yes, it is clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please advise, can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we can, yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, gentlemen, I think we will be able to work professionally because now I am hosting the meeting over my notebook, and we will be able to use the PowerPoint features. Let's start our journey with the 27001 or the ISO 27001. Before going with 27001 or whatever anything, there are some concepts and basics which I want to highlight and understand first. What is information? Information, gentlemen, it is an asset. It's an asset for the organization. And this, it can be in the form of digital or non-digital. One of the main points which we are, or main problems which we are facing, that people usually are thinking about the information as digital information, information which are lying on their PCs or their servers or notebook or whatever it is. But actually, the information, it's not only digital. Digitally, it's one of the format. When we are speaking about ISO 27001, we are not speaking only about the digital format. We are speaking about the paper format, about the spoken format. It may be in form of email, it may be a form of a record or whatever. Then please, I want you to keep in your mind, when we're saying information, it's not just digital information, maybe a piece of paper. And I think these people who are working with the business continuity, they understand this concept very well, because you will see that the retention period, it will be applied not only for digital information, it will be applied also for the paper information or whatever the media where this information is stored. Okay? Concept number 2, which we call it CIA triad. As we mentioned, this gentleman training, it's active interaction between both of us. I want one of you to tell me what is the meaning of confidentiality. And please don't try to read what is written, because it will not help. It will help you only when I will explain it. Then, what is the meaning of confidentiality? Any answer?
And allowing it to the authorized people only.
Okay, to allow it to authorized
yes,
persons.
the people who shall see it only.
Okay.
And preventing the others.
Okay, okay. Any other definition? Please feel free, gentlemen. We are not here in exam. It will be a right answer or a wrong answer. Just share your information. It's not an issue at all. Okay, confidentiality, as Hatem he mentioned, it's the process of allowing the authorized persons to see the information. On the other hand, to prevent unauthorized persons from seeing this information. Then the confidentiality, it's the process of protecting data, when no one will be able to see it except the authorized persons. Right. Do you know what is the most popular way of protecting data and protecting confidentiality?
Yes, encryption.
Encryption, perfect. That's the right answer, encryption. One of the main point of protecting the data is encryption, because if the data, it will be encrypted, no one will be able to see it until it will be decrypted. And as we will know later, this decryption process, it requires some key, public key, and so on. Then we make sure that the people who decrypt the data, we are authorized to see. Then confidentiality, keep it in your mind that it will be to prevent unauthorized users from data access, or in other terminology, to allow authorized person to see the data. What is integrity?
It's to keep data safe.
To keep data safe. But do you think that to keep data safe, it will be as a part of confidentiality?
All these parts are related to each other. So in order to have confidentiality, you should have also integrity along with it.
Okay. Any other?
Yes, integrity concern about make sure that the data don't change, or don't no one change the data, the original data. This is the integrity that looking for. Yeah.
Yes, this is the right answer. Integrity, it related to data changes. You want to prevent the data changes. And keep in your mind, gentlemen, that this data changes, it can be done on two different ways. You will hear these two expressions: data on rest, data in transient. Do you know the difference between both of them? Any answer?
Again,
Yes.
the question أبو يحيى.
What is the difference between data in data on rest and data in transient?
On prem and on transient, or on risk? Isn't the first part is what?
Data
Rest.
in on rest and data in transient.
Yes, that data on at rest, it means that the data that it is stored on the storage or the physical servers. Data in transient, this is means that the transfer of the data from from server to the client, to the endpoint, or transferring data from application to another application.
Perfect, great. This is the right answer. I will repeat it again. Data in rest, that this is the data which is stored on your hard disk or the network or storage or whatever. Data in transient, this it will be the data which is transferred or exchanged between two different hosts. And you will find another expression which is called data in use, but I don't want to go in detail in this one, but just keep it in your mind, data in use. There are some certification bodies which we use the data in use. Okay, when we say integrity, it will cover data in transient and data on storage. When I want to protect my data from any changes, if it's stored or if it's moved from one host to another, from the server into the host or vice versa. I want to protect my data, then this data, it will not be changed. One of the examples of data integrity protection, if I want to make an order from Amazon.com, I request a book, and this book, it will cost $50. If there is any hackers or man in the middle attack, he can take this packet or this request and change the price from 50 to 500, for example, and resend the packet. And this means that the data is changed, and instead of my bank pay $50 for Amazon.com, it will pay $500 for Amazon.com, and this which it will make my data it's not integrated and it is changing. Okay, last expression in the security, there's availability. What is availability? I think availability is very simple and easy, but I want my data to be up and running and it will be accessible at any time the user may require. Okay, gentlemen, CIA, it's very important. As you will see later in the other courses, in this course as foundation, in ISO 27001 lead implementer, in risk assessment, in security concepts, whatever, just name it. When we want to explain security, we have to go through CIA. If I want to protect asset, I have to go through CIA. If I want to know if a security countermeasure or safeguard it's effective or not, then I have to think about CIA. Then CIA, it's my Bible in the security, which you have to understand it very well. Okay? Any questions regarding CIA?
Yes, Osama. Question: what if an
Yes.
unauthorized access or person could change data? What is it integrity issue or confidentiality issue?
Sorry, Mohammed, can you repeat the question again?
What if an unauthorized person change data, whether it is on rest or in another form? Is it a confidentiality or an integrity issue?
Okay, it's a good question. It's both of them. Because based on the definition, the data, it was accessed by unauthorized user. Then it's violation for confidentiality. Plus, the unauthorized user was able to change the data. Then it's again violation for the integrity. Then it's both of them. Okay.
So, for example, if the unauthorized users used my credentials, like username and password, and they could log into the system, any system, let's say, and then change the settings now. So the access is unauthorized, or let's say illegal, but they could do it in a legitimate way. So this is still will be an integrity issue.
There will be changes for the data, or it will be only access for the data?
Access and then manually change the data on rest.
Both. Then now it's confidentiality and integrity.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
One more question, if you allow. There is some security also specialists. They talk about a fourth terminology. It's not only
Yes.
CIA.
CIAA?
Maybe.
Okay, yes, you are right. Frankly speaking, I don't like this, but I will explain it. This is a good question, and thank you very much, Muhammad, for this question. I consider as entrapment, but alhamdulillah, I know the information. We call it CIAA. The last A, it will be for authentication. But I don't like this last A because the last A, it will be a part of the confidentiality integrity. It's considered as a part of confidentiality and integrity. And you will find that in the big organization or big security bodies as ISC Square, as the EC Council, they considered CIA only. But as you mentioned, there are other security certification bodies. We call it CIAA, and the last A stands for authentication. I will try to make some search today, inshallah, about this one, and tomorrow I will give you more details about, inshallah. Okay. Thank you, Mohammed.
If you allow me, as you said that most of the people, they are saying that it's about authentication, but actually, as you said, it's just a matter of abbreviation and two schools. The school saying that confidentiality, meaning that there is something called authentication and authorization. Authentication and authorization, both of them under confidentiality. And nowadays they are focusing on something we call it PAM. Okay, so we will classify the users. Okay, and then after that we are giving them permissions. So, and that's why ISO is here. As we said that we have to monitor the data access and seeing continuously, and seeing if there is some sort of breach. Some people, they are, as Muhammad said, our colleague, saying that somebody is using his username and password just only to go to the system, but he did not change anything. If he changed, that means the integrity is breached. So I think it's a good question. Thank you.
Okay. Plus this, I want to add, when Muhammad, I think Muhammad Abdul Latif, not Muhammad Sharif, when he said confidentiality, he mentioned authentication and authorization. Just another piece of information which I want to share it, and please, if you feel that you are confused, forget about what we are saying right now, because this we will cover it in more details later. But this for the persons who are interested. When we say confidentiality, it's authentication, authorization, and non-repudiation as well. Then confidentiality and this, it will have some non-repudiation as well. Anyway, CIA, this is a complicated term, and if we want to spend a long time, and this I will arrange very soon security basics training, and I will cover all this information, and what's PKI, what are the public and private keys, certificates, confidentiality, integrity, availability, and so on, just name it. I will have all these terms, inshallah, very soon. Okay, let's go to another topic which is very interesting. I think most of us who are working in big organization or even in a small organization, they will hear something called policy, standard, and procedures, or procedures, whatever, how you will pronounce it in English language. Do you have an idea about these three terms? Anybody home?
If you allow me, let us say that the policy itself, it's a policy based on our environment as a company. And then, for example, if we are using some sort of standards like, for example, if you are using ISO or PS or whatever, this is the ISO. Let us say that our policy is not allowing people to access the data from outside. Okay, and based on the standard of ISO, so how to do this process? So let us say an example, we will install some sort of authentication, authorization, and the procedures is to request this from my superior managers or whatever. So just only the policy, and then the detail of that policy to implement, that we call it procedures.
Okay. Gentlemen, because I am sharing my screen, when I am not able to know who are speaking, then I really appreciate if you can say your name before speaking, because there are some of you which I am not yet familiar with their names. Then this, who is the person who gave me this description or this answer?
Mu'tasim.
Mu'tasim. Okay, Mu'tasim. Mu'tasim, you are very close to the right answer. You are very close to the right answer. I will tell you, gentlemen, frankly speaking, this one of the points which it makes me laugh of some security people who are working in our field, and unfortunately, they don't have the difference in their mind about these terminologies. Policy is very simple. Policy, it states what is the management or organization intend for a specific topic. It may be security, it may be environment, it may be quality, whatever it is. And we are saying what are our expectations as a management, senior management or top management. Because of that, the policy, you will find who will sign the policy. Who is the authorized person to sign the policy? Any answer?
Executive manager, right?
Yes.
Manager.
Or CEO. It is the top management. This is the person who should sign the policy. Then this it will be management direction for a specific topic. Right. Let me ask you a question, gentlemen. Do you think that the policy, it should be reviewed every specific period or at least once per year, as we mentioned?
Come again, please.
Do you think that the policy, it should be reviewed at regular
Not yearly.
basis?
No, not every 2-3 years, and it's a long-term ones.
Okay, then the answer is yes, it should be. Any other opinion?
If you change the policy, you have to the policy. Actually, my name is Mu'tasim, sorry. Policy,
sorry,
it's always.
Let's make it very simple. I want the answer for this question. Do you think that the policy, it should be reviewed regularly or not?
Yes, it should be.
It should be. Okay. Then, policy, gentlemen, it should not be reviewed regularly. Why? Because the policy, it does not contain any functions or technologies. It's not contain any information which it should be changed over time, as we will see later in the next slides what are the factors which are affecting these changes. Policy, it's management intent. I want to protect my data. I want the data to be compliant. I want to be compliant with the governance and so on. Because of that, when we have any policy in our organization, we never hear that it will be reviewed by the CEO every 1 year or 2 years or whatever. Then the policy, it's not reviewable. Then what are the reviewable? This, it will be the standards and procedures. Why? Because they are consists of technology and functions. What is the standard? The standard, it's document of requirements. If you are working in company X, you have to follow these requirements, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And please don't confuse. When we say standard, it's not external standard. When we say external standard as ISO or BCI, DSS or CSA or whatever, or GDPR, whatever. But there may be other standard which is internally developed. For example, in some organizations, we are saying, okay, for employees, we have to use Dell computer and it have 4 GB RAM and hard disk 250 gigabyte. For managers, they will use other machine. For so and so, we have to use this. If you want to install a network device switches, you are allowed to install these devices only. Then this, it's called the standard. They will mandate you what are the equipments or the processes which you have to do it. We have 2 types of standard, internal and external. The internal one, which is developed by your company, and you have to follow based standards, or it may be another external one as the ISO 27001 or 27005 or whatever the standard, maybe BCI, DSS, maybe GDPR, and so on. Another question which it may be useful during our discussion. Suppose that you are applying ISO 27001. Suppose that you are applying ISO 27001 standard in your company. And for some reasons, you discover that you are non-compliant with some of its requirements. Are you in a problem with the government or a law problem? Yani, you have to pay penalty or prison or whatever? Or what is the status of this non-compliance? Do you want me to repeat the question again?
Yes,
Yes, please.
Okay. I am working for company X and I applied ISO 27001 for my ISMS. Everything, it was running fine. After some time, I discovered that there are some requirements for the ISO. They are not compliant. They are not processed as required or as documented. Then this means that it's non-compliance. This non-compliance, is it legal? I have a problem with the legal, with the law, or it is something different?
It depends. If it is a policy, then I think, yes, you have a legal issue.
It's not a policy, it's a standard.
If it's a standard, then you have a compliance issue. You could call it a compliance issue or non-compliance. So you are not subject to law, but you have to either comply or you are not getting, for example, stamped or certified according to this standard.
Okay. This is the right answer, gentlemen. Gentlemen, you have to keep in your mind that you have two different types of, I don't want to say standard, but two different types of forcing laws and regulations. Something is mandatory, which is managed by law and legal. And when I say legal, it's not legal department of your company. Legal, I mean the government. And some others which are the standards, which are volunteer. When GDPR, is it considered what? As a standard or law? GDPR considered as a standard
law.
Or law? Law.
It's a government law.
Right. That's right. Because if you violate this one, by law, you have to pay this amount. You don't have any other option here. But when we say ISO 27001 or BCI, DSS standards, these standards are volunteer. Why? Because they will provide a value for your company. But if you are non-compliant, you don't have anything against law or legal. But you may lose this certificate. Yani, for example, if you are non-compliant for ISO 27001, then you are not authorized to use the badge and the certification. And in other words, if you are not compliant with BCI, DSS, then you are not authorized to use credit cards for your payment and so on. Then this is very important, as you will see in the ISO 27001 in the future, that we have something related to legals legal, law, and something related to standard. But when we say standard, it's volunteer, and this it will be document of requirements. These are requirements. If you want to follow the standard, you have to follow these requirements. Otherwise, you are non-compliant. The last point, it will be the procedure. Procedure, this it will be step-by-step guidelines, how you can do something. This, it will be step-by-step guideline. Right. I want to give you a challenge.
Osama, if you allow me.
Sure, please.
This Mu'tasim again. It's some of the international auditors, when they are coming and to audit the company, they saying that this is the standard implementation, okay, for example, but there is something called best practice. So best practice, according to them, that if you are you can drop some sort of procedures, okay, but still you are compliance also as well. I don't know.
Yes, you are right. You are totally right. And this, it will be covered in more details in ISO 27001 auditing course and lead implementer. What you are saying, it's right. And to make a small comment or on your note, that we have another term here which you can add it, which is called guidelines. Which is called guidelines. And this what you are mentioned in your note. Thank you, Mu'tasim, for this. Okay, gentlemen, we have a small challenge. Then I feel that some of you are sleepy. Okay, can you see my screen where I can write and make some notes?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. You are a security administrator, and your manager or not manager, your CEO, he tell you, I want to protect my, not my, protect organization data. And when you work with your colleague, he tell you, okay, this is very easy. We can do it. We can use IPsec with a key, for example, 512 key. Or we can use IPsec only. What of other a manager for other department, he tell you, wait, IPsec, it's very complicated. You have to use, for example, AES, and you have to choose 512 byte key or 1K key. Okay? My question now, which of these points represent a policy, or it can be represented by a policy, and which one can be represented by a standard, and which one can be represented by procedure?
I think you made it easy for us, Sama.
Wallah, if I make it easy, Muhammad, I am really happy because I was able to let you understand the concept, and this is our target.
Yeah, you put it in the same order, I think. So the first one is a policy, you protect organization data, then use IPsec is a standard. And then the details, how to do it, or what is the technology that to be used is the procedure.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you agree with Muhammad about his answer?
Yes.
I don't agree. This is Majid. Maybe the first one is policy. Yes. The second one is standard, and the third one is standard also.
Okay. 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 Okay, Majid. This is a good point, gentlemen. Okay. Majid, he mentioned that the last one, which AES 512 and 1K, no, this is standard. It's not procedure. Because if it's a procedure, it have to give me some more details. Majid, I can say it's a gray area, but we consider this as procedure. Because when you have IPsec configuration, it will ask you what is the algorithm, what is the key. These are the steps which you have to define. There is no other more detailed information which is required here in the IPsec. And this it will be considered as a procedure. You got my point?
Yes, but I thought procedure is on the how to, not what.
Okay. You mean how to configure, right? And how to configure, yes. This is the point. How can I configure? I will configure in the same form, the EES and 512.
Okay. Maybe.
I'm afraid there is a noise, gentlemen. I really appreciate if you are not speaking, if you can mute your machine. Yes, Majid, sorry for disrupting you.
Yes, fine. Is the like procedure is something of step by step of doing something rather than of what to do. So what is maybe is another level of maybe I'm not sure, but maybe another level of standard, another details. But if we talk about procedure, I assume that there should be some steps of implementing something.
So there is a difference between the procedures, because if it's a procedure for a device, then I totally agree with you. But if it's a procedure as a general, yani if you are saying, okay, this is a procedure for configuring a firewall, then this configured firewall, you have to say that number one, you have to log in as admin, you have to make a BAM or authentication, you have to define number 2, 3, 4, and so on, these steps. But in some other situation, when you have a procedure, general procedure, it's not, it's step by step, but it's a general, it is general for multiple devices, or general for IPsec in general. Then I will not be able to do it step by step in detail here, because it's not for a specific machine. Yeah, usually when we had the devices, okay, this I can understand, I can do it step by step. But when you will have a procedure for IPsec in general, then the parameters, it will be considered as the configuration parameters.
Okay, clear.
So, Sama, maybe to solve this, if you can add to the third line or begin with enable this kind of encryption algorithm, then it's not a procedure by itself. It's one step of the procedure. I think this is what Majid is looking for.
Okay. Look, okay, I totally appreciate your feedback. But the point which I want you to keep it in your mind, the main difference between the policy standard and procedure. This is very important. Why I am highlighting this? Because as you will see later, we will speak about this to specifically to expression policy and standard too many times in the training and in the lead implementer course as well. Okay. I think this is module number 2. we have to take the break for 10 minutes as we
I have a question before we break, Osama.
اتفضل.
Now, you mentioned something about GDPR or NCA regulations. Now, these, I think, as per the definition, now they are considered as policy.
As what?
As policy. Policies.
Law.
So it's a higher level.
ايوه دي laws دي law مش policy. يعني policies which is defined by the management of the organization. But when we say law as GDPR, this is by government, by NCA, but whatever. But this is something which you, if you did not apply or if you don't apply, you will be in trouble.
Okay. Do we have any example, or does it make sense to make the law mandate a certain standard to be applied? Like, for example, if we say...
No, law, it will not mandate a standard because a standard is volunteer. The law, something which forcible by law.
Okay. How about policy? So can we say, for example, our organization policy mandates that you have to implement ISO 27001. Does it make sense?
No. Policy, yani, just keep in your mind, Muhammad, that who is developing the policy? It should be
the organization.
Management. Yani, okay, I can understand you will say, okay, top management, we are not able to do it. This it will be a security administrator, he will do it and they will sign it. Okay, this I can agree. But actually, the management, we are not able to understand the 27001 and 2013 or 2015 or the new version or whatever. This number one. Number two, policy, it should not contain any data which it can be changed in the future. We can, okay, say we need some data or some certification body which it can guarantee that we are secure environment. That's fine. But in the policy, it will not mention that we have to work with the ISO 27001. This, it can come in the standard.
Okay, last question before the break, of course. The standard now will mandate that you have a policy, sometimes or most of the time.
Can you repeat it again, Muhammad?
I mean, some standards will mandate that you or the organization should have a policy.
Perfect. Perfect. This is an excellent question, Muhammad. Yes, you are totally right. You are totally right. I can have a policy. I don't have a standard. This, it can happen. In some organization, okay, the management said, I want this. No one is caring, or we don't have the responsible persons or whatever. But when we say I have a standard, then this means that if you have a standard, you must have the policy. If you have the standard, you must have the policy. Then if you have a standard, you must have the policy. If you have a procedure, you must have the standard, and so on. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for your feedback. I think we are a little bit late. We have to stop at 7:50, but now it's 7:57. We will have 10 minutes. I will start immediately. Sorry, I mean exactly at 8:10. Then we'll give you some time for tea, coffee, and so on. 8:10. Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. See you in the next session.